All right, guys, this is a key section that I think some people get confused with, but it's pretty straightforward, and I'm going to walk you through exactly what this does and what this means. If you hover over this check mark, you'll go to the trade conditions section. Think of it as, essentially conditions that the market has to meet for you to be able to execute your specific time trade. This is quite common for people looking for specific VIX levels overnight, like, escalation or de-escalation, people looking for specific intraday moves. Anything your mind could essentially come up with that you could, thoroughly test, you can set a condition for internally in TAT for it to watch for. And if those conditions are met, then the trade is true and it essentially fires off at the scheduled time. So one popular one that I'll cover today is the VIX overnight up condition. And this is pretty straightforward, and we'll cover that first. Before I jump into that, you'll see the TAT comes with some preset conditions right here. And that's the EMA conditions that I think most of you are familiar with. It's simply saying, hey, on a 1 minute chart, is the 5 EMA greater than the 40 EMA? If it is, then that's a positive updrift sign. Then let's sell some puts, and vice versa. So some pre-made custom EMA conditions will be in TAT already when you kind of download it, but we've added some custom ones for the sample of this training video. So VIX up. So I simply wanted to I added the VIX overnight condition, meaning, so what does this mean? So I title it here, and then I go into add condition, and it takes me here. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for a VIX gap percentage greater than or equal to a specific value that I say is at least 0.01%. And that means that anytime VIX gaps up overnight, at least 0.01%, whatever trade I have scheduled for that specific condition, that means it's true, and that means we should fire it off. Now, mind you, you have the ability to set a pretty extensive list of conditions. I would take some time to read through these and try to align them with some of the back testing you've done. But in a nutshell, this is where you would set that condition. And once you save it, you're good to go. And that basically, in the template section, you'll notice, hey, we're able to set a specific, in the condition, in the scheduling section, we'll be able to set, hey, there's a condition that needs to be met, right? So if you look at this specific trade, hey, this needs a condition that I've preset. This specific condition requires two things. It requires the intraday move and a minimum VIX level. If we go back to conditions and we look at this specific condition grouping that I've set, you will see it requires two different things to occur. You have the ability to add two specific parameters to your condition, meaning in group one, in the same condition, that means both conditions need to be true. If you wanted one or the other, you would simply change the group of this, so to group two, and this would, if one or the other hit, it would be a true and it would fire the trade. In our specific example, when you have multiple inputs, meaning you need both conditions to be true in the same group for this to work. And this simply says, hey, intraday price move needs to be at least, percentage-wise, at least 0.2%, and VIX needs to be over 16. And if that's correct, then the condition is true. If both of those things are correct, the condition is true, and then it is fired. Again, play around with the different conditions. You have options to. There's, you could add pretty much, any kind of condition here, and just really go nuts with like, hey, you could do anything essentially. Now, one key thing before we jump off here is this section here. So condition failure action, meaning if this condition is not met, you can continue rechecking for this condition until the expiration of that specific entry time frame. So, in the scheduling section, you could look for that, a specific trade, for X amount of minutes. So right here, you have the ability to continue checking for that condition or that group of conditions while you have this on. And that's the condition section in TAT.